Today on the show, we learn how to empower an entire population, plus the productivity tools to make it happen. How's it going, everybody? Jason Croft here. Today on the show, we've got Rafaty. I am ecstatic to bring you this interview. Dylan is an amazing guy. I've known for a while now. We run into each other at the startup community and been wanting to do this interview with him for a while. He is the founder of DylanListed, and he does about 1,000 other things. As you'll hear in this interview, it's just amazing. I'm so impressed with this guy. His mission in life is really, connection and empowering people both in the disability community to have more opportunities in life, but also people in corporate America and in the startup world to really embrace and understand that community so much better. So I'll let Dylan explain everything that he's got going on, but he's got roles within the startup community, within the state government, within different corporate organizations. It's just phenomenal. And he's looking to do even more. So this is fantastic. Please check out Dylan Rafaty. Mr. Dylan Rafaty, welcome to the show.
Thank you. How are you?
I am good. It is about darn time.
Absolutely.
We did this interview. Because of me, this has been a long time in the making. So I'm ecstatic to have you here.
Thank you.
In the Bizmobile.
I'm honored.
And
this is my first interview in this kind of setting, so I'm very excited.
I think it's most people's in this ridiculous, I don't know what this is, setting. I think, unless you've been on Seinfeld's show. Then...
Well, yeah, the Seinfeld, yes. I've seen that. I've seen one of Jerry's shows with Barack Obama.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
They couldn't leave the White House
exactly,
long, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome. Well, you and I, we just dug in and figured out where we first met each other because it took a while. We were always running into each other in the startup space and all around. Tell people what you do, what your specialty is, and really your kind of mission in life.
Well, I have multiple positions, only because I like to get my feet wet in every little thing. And so basically, I'm the founder and president of DylanListed. And DylanListed's original mission was to provide employment and training opportunities for all people with disabilities across the United States.
Okay.
Then kind of moved into being in a role being the founder of DylanListed Connect, which is a nonprofit entity focusing on 3 pillars, which is cross-disability community building through interactive engagement with the abled community through community education.
Okay.
So
dive into what each of those mean.
Yeah. So basically, cross-disability means about integrating multiple disabilities in one room, whether it's autism, Down syndrome, intellectual developmental disabilities. That includes deaf and hard of hearing, visually impaired, blind, partnering with organizations that feed those kind of communities.
Okay. Through
interactive engagement with the abled community. That includes people like you. That includes executive businesses that have many individuals that are not necessarily involved in this population.
Gotcha.
So welcoming them in that kind of space. And that also includes community education. When I think of community education, really, it's about healthcare, housing, transportation, education, specifically special education, employment, veterans. There's just a lot of different concerning issues that affects this population.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't found this idea with the help of understanding and taking on leadership roles, volunteer leadership roles, really, including one being appointed by the governor of Texas with the Governor's Committee on People with Disabilities.
Wow.
And so taking on those roles and implementing the ability to have outreach efforts, understanding state laws and how we can improve them or better them, or community outreach and engaging with the members of the community. You know, what's funny is that I'm involved in that, and when I'm looking into and seeing the problems in our area, in our region, I realize I need to better educate myself, get involved.
In what way?
Yeah, get self-motivated. I had to self-motivate myself. I had to boost self-confidence, knowing that I can make something happen. I can make a change. I can make a difference.
So you saw, in what level did that happen? I mean, at what point did you feel empowered enough to even make that change?
Well, there's two things. One is I've noticed my community needs more understanding or gainful understanding or meaningful information to get from position A to B.
Okay.
That's one. Two is I love getting involved and sharing insights, being transparent to communicate to a community that I'm a part of, only because I have disabilities, but I also involved in inspiring other people to actively engage in a population that they're not familiar with. But what I've noticed is quite a change in transition from taking that position. I just recently been appointed for another 2-year term.
Wow. Congratulations.
But thank you. And so my focus have changed since joining 2 years ago. 2 years ago, my idea was, okay, I need to get involved in community outreach. I've done that. Now the next 2 years is I want to produce new legislative ideas and recommendations on how to improve our community. What I've realized is now a lot of people want my job, which is great news. Also sad news, but great news, because before, 2 years ago, there was little engagement in this space. Little engagement because not many people knew about this committee. Not many people knew that we have direct office within the office of the governor. Not many people knew what we do and what we try to do, what we encourage the public to participate in. But with that involvement and my passion and being one of 2 representatives in North Texas, it has boost popularity and boost involvement, boost trust and respect, that in a way that I'm ready to start finding ways on how we can better produce laws and recommendations with their support. Now that they're involved and they're actively engaged, now I have the confidence of moving forward in working with them and hosting meetings like a town hall discussion, really opening that door, enabling people to come in and talk about their concerns. And so that's just one position that I'm in. Another position is I'm a committee member for the education committee within World Para Taekwondo. Now, World Para Taekwondo is an affiliate of World Taekwondo. And World Taekwondo is the official federation or organization within the Olympic and Paralympic Games.
Gotcha.
And so how do I get involved? Well, thank you to my father, who is the Secretary General of the World Taekwondo organization. And with that, I'm involved in sports. I've always been a passionate sports fan.
Okay.
So getting involved in Para Taekwondo has enabled, and by the way, Para Taekwondo has been added for the first time in the 2020 Tokyo Games. So we're getting ready for that. And so for me, getting involved in that is understanding how the organization is being developed, how it's organizing for each competition, how do we better communicate and train all participating members within the Para Taekwondo, understanding how we can better serve athletes or para-athletes, how do we recruit, those kind of things. That's just the type of skills or requirements to benefit such organization. Another is serving as a chairman of chairman for the Social Responsibility Committee within the International Association of Ice Cream Distributors and Vendors. So there's a long title. So involved in that, being able to encourage businesses in the distribution businesses as well as vendors, like Blue Bunny ice cream, to Unilever Good Humor ice cream, or Nestle, Haagen-Dazs, those kind of brands.
And what is that interaction? What is that?
Well, the goal in mind is to really boost their involvement in social impact activities or events in their community.
Okay.
We want to give them the tools and resources on how to better recruit or diversify their workforce, or developing goals or action plans into better social outreach efforts, or providing ice cream to social community events, specific social organizations, those kind of things. Another role now that I serve is a consultant to startups and nonprofits. Okay, how do I get in that role? Well, really is I'm developing ways on understanding each organization or business or idea, and giving them the tools based off of my experiences or what I've seen or what I've heard or what I've watched startups or nonprofits grow from.
Gotcha.
One of the things that nonprofits need is fundraising strategies. How do they develop events? How do they bring people to the room? How do they raise the funds and the money, or how do they develop a structure and those things?
Which is something you've been doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Another that I've been doing is how do you develop teams, and how do you identify each individual, and how you can help them, give them the skills and the training they need to structure their organization. So for example, if an organization is overseeing a specific region, in that organization, they have different locations. Each location runs differently. So the way I look at it is
culture, its own
exactly.
Gotcha.
You want to have one common culture or identity within the organization, and each location has its own identity. But when you're identified within a specific organization, you of course need to adapt to their policies and their way of running business. But in the local level, you can adapt in the way you communicate with your customers, your business sponsors, or volunteers in that region, how that can be structured.
It's a great way to interlace those things.
Yes. So you want to have a scale regionally, but you want to have a local focus.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. So I'm helping nonprofits see that kind of perspective. For startups, I'm advising a couple startups who have great innovative ideas and already have products in place, whether it's a product or a service, whatever it may be. I happen to be in the service industry, but I understand products and how, and I've been in several academies, including the Damon John Academy. And so, I spent $1,000, what to expect. Well, obviously, it was not my idea market because I'm in the service industry, but the product and understanding how it's, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's software, understanding how to work with production or staff, or that focuses on technology and software and, analysts and those kind of things. And so with this team, I told them that, these are the initial things that you need to focus on in order to go from point A to point B to point C to point D. The moral of this whole role things and the things that I've gained understanding and value is, Jason, I've become a more so a facilitator. I'm facilitating ways on how to make things happen. Then I'm connecting the community and connecting the dots to resources, people, individuals, decision makers, lawmakers, everybody in the room. I'm putting them in that bundle and giving them sort of all-inclusive access to these resources and giving them the right approach, the right direction. And that's why people consider me as a navigator in a population that is most deserving, but also navigating other populations. I had privileges of volunteering in prison and going through the prison entrepreneurship program and engaging with felons and so forth, and giving them the tools and the resources and the guidance and transitional approach toward society and how to integrate, competitively integrate, really, but also giving them a peace of mind and directions. So that's the kind of roles that I take on.
Yeah, because that's really what's so interesting with all of it, is how the many roles that you have.
Yeah,
you
many
kidding.
roles.
They all, you can point to those three things that you just facilitating, connecting, and navigating.
Yeah.
You can point to each of those in each one of those roles. So there's
Yes.
definitely a common thread. This isn't a sporadic, I'll go do this now. There's a common mission at each of them, at the core of each.
What's funny is any given day I have from 5 to probably 20 different tasks each given day. And it's different. It's based on productivity levels. And what I mean by that is each activity that I take on, there's only certain type of productivity that I need to focus my attention towards. So that attention can span from, okay, I need to focus this on 80% of the time. Or this time, with this involvement, there's little action. I need to eliminate my focus on that, focus on something that is much more bigger, or bigger projects. Sorry
to interrupt you, but how do you decide that? Are you just chasing fires and what's the most immediate, or is there a little bit step back in looking to the future of like, okay, I better invest this time now, or is it kind of a mix of both?
Okay, so here's where what friends would tell me. Once I put my mindset into something, I see it big, but I also see other things too. And so people will say, you either have tunnel vision, looking through a microscope and looking straight at it, or you see a bigger picture of things. You know where the end goal is, okay? You know where the end goal is. But how do you vision that end goal? You see it right here, but you know what I see? I see a bunch of other things. Each decision you make, you look at it. Each decision you make can affect how you get to that end goal.
Gotcha.
Okay? So, but I see all these different things, and these different things include problems. It can include hidden doors, or they can include wide open doors. They can include doors that are broken or locked down or something like that. And I look at it and I'm like, okay, if I took this approach and I saw that approach, okay, you can't handle that. If the decisions you make can affect other decisions, you just got to take it step by step. And so with these decisions that I've made, I manage my time, and my time is vulnerable. I really got to take care of it, and I really got to choose carefully. And with those goals in mind, each task that I take on, which I'm more than happy to do, some I can tackle in 5 minutes. Some I need to tackle in a couple weeks.
Right.
Some a couple days, and some in a couple hours. It just varies. So I wrote down my list before coming here today with you, and I have probably 37 things I need to do this week, within this week. How do I do it? How do I manage it? So the way I look at it is, can it be postponed? Can it be done right at this moment? Or can I rely on someone to help me get there?
Gotcha.
Okay? But there are things that is without my control. And without my control, I need to postpone it. If it's something that I can work with someone to tackle it down, then it can be done within minutes. If it's something that it's a communication issue, meaning that they need my direction or guidance to give them a direction to take, I can do that in minutes.
Individual, yeah.
Yes. So, like, I'll give you an example. I tell people when I get my emails. Now, I'm not saying you should do this, but just keep mindful. It has built opportunities waiting for me because people value that. They value communication, direct, precise, and clear communication. Okay. So with that, keep in mind, I have a 5-minute follow-up rule. So any email or voicemail that I open up or text, I follow up within 5 minutes.
Gotcha. Because it doesn't mean like if they've emailed you 5 minutes later, you're going to get back to it. But when you read it, you're going to deal with it one way or another.
Exactly. And that's how I deal with my business. That's how I deal with my nonprofit. That's how I deal with my other roles that I take on. That's what people want. That's what they care about. How do I know that? I've been in their shoes. I don't like when I don't get a call back or voicemail. Sure. I would have to wait 24 to 48 hours to get a response. Why? I want a clear, direct, and precise communication.
Right. You've bothered to give clear and concise email a question.
Yes.
You expect the same on the answer. And for you, and that's on the other, and it's so funny how a simple response, something doing, which is that simple to do, sets you apart from 75% of the people out
Well,
there.
make that 90%.
I was trying to be nice.
I know you're trying to be nice, but no, it's 90% of the time.
Yeah.
There's very rare, 1 of 10 people would actually think of doing that.
Yeah, and then on your side of it too, though, it also, you don't forget about it.
No.
And
it's on record.
And it's not a loop. It's not an open loop.
Yeah.
That you're, somewhere back in there you're managing as well.
And it's on record. And the way I look at it is, I get that email and I'm looking at it, and every day I'm looking at it, I'm making sure that email is communication. I don't want things to come back and haunt me. I don't like that. If that happens, I have a panic attack. Not literally a panic attack, but that's how I function.
Yeah.
I'm very vocal, and when I see something wrong, they're going to hear it from me, whether it's by email, by phone, or something. One thing, Jason, is let's talk about rejection.
Yep.
And I'm constantly getting rejections. And what rejections I'm talking about? Well, I'm always looking for ways to get actively involved, engaged with organizations, or involved in local politics, or policies, or business development, personal development, all those kind of things. Mm-hmm. I noticed that his best way to do it is to get out there and get yourself moving. And so I've decided to apply for a lot of different things. And I got rejection, and rejection. And you know what? I come back with a sort of a response. And I said, look, you may not see me. And I questioned a lot how the selection process works, because I do value interface interaction.
Right.
When you have interface interaction, you get to know the person firsthand.
Right.
And so with that, keep that in mind. Many of the application process without interface interaction. So they just see what's in the Word document. Okay?
Which is something that's so broken all the way from hiring processes
exactly.
and everything. Right now.
Yes. Yeah. So think of, hiring process that includes interviews, that includes, a variety of things, and the way the business discussions work, and so forth. I rather have interface meetings. So keep that in mind with because of those rejections. With those rejections, I kept in mind and said, look, I have so many great experiences. I'm thankful for a lot of people that helped me build to where I am today.
Sure. People
invest in people. People invest in products and services. People invest in communication. I invest in communication. People is important, but I also invest in communication. I also invest in trust and honesty and respect. Okay? So with that in mind, I looked into this and said, look, yes, I'm not accepted into a position. Yes, I'm not accepted to an opportunity. But I told them this, it's a big loss on your part. I really did. I said, you're lost. Because guess what? I can easily do it myself. And guess what? I'm going out there and I'm finding ways on how I can find influential people, getting in touch with them, and keeping them in my radar.
Oh yeah, probably in a way that's even more efficient than you would have
exactly
otherwise.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, they might enable it, but I'm already an enabler. Let me just go out and do it myself.
Oh yeah.
And so that's the way I did it. And I don't mean it in an offensive way or anything like that. I just told them that if somebody's an investment to the city or a community or a region, give them a chance, enable or improve your selection process on how you select people, because there are people out there, especially young ones like myself, who's wanting to be an enabler, wants to be a leader, wants to get involved, whether it's politics, whatever it may be.
Right.
But if there are people constantly rejecting you, it should give you a sign or a signal telling you time to focus your attention elsewhere.
Yep.
Not everyone is going to invest in you. Not everyone is going to focus on your attention. Nobody's going to have the same vision or mission as you.
Right.
Focus your attention elsewhere and only focus on those that are willing to dedicate the time and energy to invest in you. But as long as you have those in mind and those willing to do it, make sure you do the same for them.
Oh, that's great.
That's my mindset.
Yeah.
Yes, they might invest in you, but don't be greedy in taking advantage of it. Take advantage of the situation and investing.
And don't sit back with that. Like,
exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then you're coasting. Use that as a launching point.
Yes. So with that, I wrote him a nice letter. I said, thank you very much. And I told him, take me off the alternate list. Take me off. I don't want to wait. Why should I be waiting when I have it right there in my backyard?
Yeah, it's such a self-empowering position to be in. And now you can go and operate way better from a place of strength, way more than you would have otherwise.
Well, and Jason, since I was 5 years old, I've had that courageous personality, that act of, what if one day I could represent all?
Wow. And
I'm going to announce it right here that I plan to run for office.
Really?
Yes, in the next couple of years.
Really? And in what capacity do you think?
Local level, local city level.
Okay.
And so I'm announcing it here.
Fantastic. You heard it here first.
Yeah, so yes, I since I was 5, I said, you know what, I'm going to run for office. And people know me as future mayor of Dallas, but in the end of the day, right now, and that's why I was telling you this, is because I got to do my homework now. I got to get involved. I don't want to wait for anything.
You mean more involved?
I'm more involved, yes, heavily more involved.
How do you get more involved than you already are, Dylan?
Well, the reason I'm getting involved in local level is, with my involvement in the state level, it has given me bigger awareness from a state level perspective. The way the committee is run now and the way with the great management and staff is to use your internal affairs, internal resources within the different variety of state agencies. Knowing that and valuing communication and trust and respect, I've been able to build understanding how it's run, how it's managed, how to make laws happen, how to advocate for such legislation, those kind of things.
Okay.
Then understanding that, I also understood with my self-motivation and encouraging my self-confidence and boosting that, I built that community outreach. Now I'm realizing, what can I do at the local level? Dallas and Plano are my 2 top cities that I like to get involved in. Mm-hmm. Dallas, is always big. There's always things happening. There's always things changing. But it's kind of too big for me. Plano is home. Plano is where I've focused my attention through Plano ISD, being a student, overcome many obstacles and challenges, in those kind of directions. Mm-hmm. And so the reason I want to get involved on local level is economic development, business development, personal growth, personal development or social activities. How do you better engage? How do you run the city? Those kind of things. Getting involved with the police department, the fire department, the historical society, where they have historical records and etc. Information, or how they work with neighboring cities in Collin County. Those kind of things, those kind of structures. I'm really fascinated.
Yeah,
and you can tell my passion is there.
It definitely is, but I think the extra value is that it's not just your interest in what you want to do, because you have such a history, and part of your DNA is empowering others, taking everything that you're doing for yourself and using that to empower others.
Well, and on top of that is being a great negotiator and a great manager and a great leader in communicating both sides of the aisle. I try to be as non-biased as possible. I try to be a leader that speaks and opens the doors to both sides. Both sides focus on concerning issues, but how do we bridge that in the middle, and how do we improve our ties to better for everyone? Right. Plano is the city of excellence. How do we think of one Plano? How do we think of one community? How do we develop a strategy that is a benefit to the city? Not everyone will benefit in every decision.
Sure.
But
bigger picture.
But the end result on a later date can have a greater impact for all. So, yes, I am planning to run in the next couple of years. And I haven't decided what that position will be hold. But I plan to do my homework. I plan to do more talking, more networking, more engaging, more activities. I really want to be open those windows of doors of opportunity. And maybe I'd be running for office of governor. Who knows? But down the road is you got to have those big goals. Oh, yeah. But as long as you know those little baby steps to get there, once you have the boost of confidence that you're confident enough to want to withhold a position, then I will then announce such.
Yeah, but that's how it starts. That's exactly how it starts. Is sitting there and making a decision. People rarely just fall into being the mayor of Plano. Yeah. Or something,
Yeah.
That takes, there's a definite plan there. So I think that's fantastic. Where do you think, just this is the human level of the question, right? Where do you think that confidence comes from? Where do you think that feeling of political office at age 5 comes from?
Personality. It really does. Is how you handle with day-to-day life. How do you deal with people? How do you deal with the emotions? How do you deal with society? Do you see change? Do you want to make a change? It's the way, and personality is one, but it also leads to attitude. How do you perceive judgments? How do you perceive assumptions? How do you perceive an act? Or, how do you perceive driving on the road and somebody has a road rage? Hey, I meant doing that too. But
we all have.
Yeah, we all do. But our society is becoming more sensitive, and it's a fact. Some people may not agree, and I respect it.
Becoming more what?
Sensitive. We're becoming more sensitive.
I think in good and bad ways.
Good and bad, yes, good and bad. But on the road, it's bad. It really is.
Yeah.
And especially when we're in a population that is constantly growing. I'm happy for growth. I'm happy for that. But it's how we perceive it from day-to-day operation. How do we operate ourselves? How do we handle certain situations? Can our personality fit into that? Can we fit ourselves into that position? How does our attitude? How do we perceive people? How do we perceive actions? A friend would say, Tammy Kling would say, words are currency. It's really true.
Sure.
Words are currency. How do we use our words in communicating to people? Because certain words may be offensive. Certain words may be hurtful. Certain words can be inspiring and passionate and, and encourage change and making a difference. Mm-hmm. Those kind of things. So, you know, I've always been a bright kid. I'm a bright young adult. Been inspired to make a difference. I had very good teachers. Very good, but very few. I had great coaches, a few mentors, a few role models. I mean, you know, I honestly would love to be on the Ellen DeGeneres show and the Steve Harvey show. Two great entertainers.
I think it'd be a great fit.
Yeah, but that's why I'm doing, you know, the Rafaty's Ranch show. You know, like you have your own show. I want to be able to have my own show. Oh, yeah. I like to engage in social, and I value relationships, building trust. But you know, it really comes down to attitude and your personality.
Yeah. I love all this, and I wish you'd get involved in a few more things because you seem bored.
Yeah, no.
But I want to get to the core too of even starting back with DylanListed. You know, what is that core business model, and where did you start with that?
So DylanListed started so I would say 7 months. Yeah, 7 months after I self-published my book, based on my personal special education experience in Plano ISD. Okay. And it's a long title, and that's a big mistake on my part. But it's a long title. It's occupying special education. Children should be seen and heard. We were seen, but we're not often heard. And it came around we're not affiliated. FYI, we're not affiliated with Occupy Wall Street. It came around that time. But I was saying that we need to occupy the importance of a student working with a teacher or a representative or an administrative, principal, counselor, whoever it may be, because it's important through their educational journey.
Gotcha.
So that was the purpose why I founded that title. But within that, I realized myself having, hearing disabilities. I'm deaf in the right ear, partially deaf with a hearing aid in the left ear. I have back fusion and neck fusion. And there's just slight to moderate disabilities. I was born with a birth defect. And so, but I turned out to be perfectly fine. Always facing adversity and facing challenges. So with those challenges, I noticed employment and training, lack of awareness of such training. And with DylanListed finding that idea, I started to dive into it a little bit more. And when I dived into it, I realized, my peers are struggling the same thing. So I became more self-aware, being self-advocate in that area. So I founded DylanListed on an idea of creating a multi-sided job site. And with that multi-sided job site, I became understanding and a parent support, encouraged. With that, I got an outreach in it where I met you in multiple occasions of getting involved in the startup community. But I fall in the category of social entrepreneurship or social impact. In that area, so I became a for-profit for social benefit organization. Okay. And so with that, I met a lot of tech communities, worked with a variety of career providers and so forth, trying to get more information while branding myself. With that, people don't call me Dylan Rafaty anymore. They call me DylanListed. So that's good news.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's fun stuff. But with that, I started to understand with, I did a licensing contract with Campus to Careers and at the time, and no longer do, only because we had more employers looking for applicants than I did applicants.
Oh, wow.
We only had 23 candidates across the United States registered online.
Really?
That's when I realized we need more educational outreach and training efforts.
Oh, yeah.
That's when
Wow.
DylanListed Connect was born. That was 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
I only got serious in the last 6 months to register that nonprofit, and we got registered as a 501c3 organization,
Sure.
classified as a public charity 509A2 because 1/3 of our funding will be memberships. So DylanListed Connect will be a membership-based nonprofit organization.
Oh, fantastic.
So kind of like a chamber of commerce for the national disability community. Or in this case, we're going to start small with the Texas disability community.
Gotcha.
So
Wow.
we'll be hosting events, hosting seminars, training, sporting events, outreach, social events, those kind of things to provide value to the community as they're transitioning or aging out of high school or going into public schools or private schools or engaging them into being adults or being parents or relationships, friendships, those kind of things.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's huge. I swear, we're connected on social, and every time I look at Facebook, you're somewhere else in the country, somewhere else in the world.
Well, I love traveling, but a lot of people say, Dylan, who is your family? And I have to give credits to my family. My dad is, obviously the Secretary General of World Taekwondo, but he's also the president and founder of Yummy Ice Cream Company Incorporated. That's how I got in the Ice Cream Association.
Awesome.
But with his support and his guidance and having over 500 employees across Texas, have an understanding of business and entrepreneurship and so forth, he's been a great advisor and consultant. My brother, who just got his PhD in philosophy from the University of Cambridge in England.
That's right. That's
so
where I saw you recently.
Yeah, he's an educator and researcher and so forth, and policies and so forth. Him enabling me the value of research and policy and getting involved in local, state, and national politics and international relations. My mother, who's my business partner, but also intellectual property lawyer. So she's my IP lawyer, but she's also my lawyer and legal counsel
that works
and a lot of
perfectly.
different things. So put that together, I have a package deal internally without even paying for anything.
Oh, that's huge. That's
Huge.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean,
So that's kind of enabled me to where I am.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it sounds like a phenomenal foundation for then, again, with that personality that's been there from day one, you're unstoppable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and one thing is I value relationships. I value people. But with those relationships, certain relationships come with a price.
sure.
And, some are beneficial, some are not. I've always been welcoming. I've always been inviting. But man, if you step on one thing, you get warnings and so forth. But if you don't get, I'm willing to give second chances. I'm willing to give opportunities. And I always open the door, always do. And I'm always acknowledging and respecting those individuals. But when you shut me out, you expect to be shut out back. You will.
Right.
And I don't mean it in a harsh way. I don't mean it offensive. It's just the way I don't want to feel neglected. I don't want to feel rejected, because that would really put me off track. I need to continue to boost my confidence. I need to boost myself and surround myself by good people, good family, good friends.
Well, and it's so empowering, because I personally don't see that in a negative light at all, because it's a very, again, that comes from a place of strength, a place of confidence, that you have a line in the sand. So here's, and you're very public with that line.
Yeah.
Here it is, folks. You
Yeah.
know? And I think everybody should operate that way. Here is what I will tolerate. Here's what I won't tolerate. And it's a very simple set of rules, and we'll be all good.
Well, and on top of that, there's another thing we need to discuss about is millennials. I am a millennial. 8-10 years ago, whatever that guy on the YouTube video that was talking about millennials and how they are, I looked into it, and I'm like, God, I was like that 10 years ago. Now, as I grow, and people need to realize, millennials will grow out of their bad habits. They will develop new skills if given the proper guidance and transitional support to get there.
Oh, yeah. Just like every generation before.
Exactly. Every generation will change.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so powerful. And I think you're a phenomenal example of that millennium. And that was something I thought of earlier when you were talking about that rejection from the application you were doing and the opportunity you were looking into. It really is. It's like, on one hand, society's constantly putting down millennials and, there's no work ethic, and then you've got somebody coming in saying, let me work my butt off for you.
Yeah.
And then there's that rejection there. So it's like, you can't have it both ways, folks. Like,
well, and that's the thing is, 10 years ago, I was expected to be given. I've transitioned out of that role and said, look, yes, things might be given to you, but you got to earn it.
Yeah.
You gotta receive it, and you got to honorably receive it in a way that you recognize by your achievements and accomplishments.
Yeah.
And so with that, and that's where I have a conservative mindset. But from a non-conservative mindset, I'm more open and willing to give second chances. I'm more than giving of second chances.
Yeah.
But it is okay to hit a brick wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as you don't discontinue their contact because they need your help.
Yeah.
But there's a fine line of how you open up that interaction. There's a fine line on how you open up those kind of those doors. And you just got to be careful on how you manage those opportunities for other people.
I love it. Well, I think you're doing a phenomenal job at that.
Thank you.
And so many other things.
Well, this was fun.
Well, I had a blast. I appreciate you coming on, sharing your story.
Yeah.
And I wish you all the best.
Yeah.
And I'll be right there watching it happen.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, Dylan.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Man, like I said at the top of the show, I am so impressed with this guy. I remember driving around with Dylan, listening to him go through everything he's doing, and part of my brain just keeps going, wow, Jason, you're sure not doing enough. So I find him very inspiring for sure. This is fantastic. So definitely check out the show notes at thejasonCroft.com/podcast on this episode, and you'll see how to keep in touch with Dylan, and head over to his website, find him on social, and he's got so many more things coming up, and I hope you follow along on his journey and reach out and connect to him. All right, thanks so much for watching. If you like interviews like this, please subscribe below, and we'll see you next time.
It's Saturday night. It was Saturday night and I'm feeling kinda silly. Winter coat on cause the air was chilly, but I'ma make my way out to the record spot. Gotta find some new breaks for the beats to rock. I gotta come with the flavor like some lifesavers. On now and late is Dr. Beatmaker. If I'm a player, it's like your tape deck. And if you miss the gig, then take a rain check. Stacks of wax piled high to the ceiling. Need a U-Haul truck if I would think about stealing, but it's not my steed, so I commence with the digging, no kidding. Something that'll keep the beats hitting what I'm getting. So much to choose from, bro.